gang, welcome back. Minute Tech here, Jim Spellos. We are going to be interviewing today the founder and CEO of Map Digital, Mary Ann Pierce, who I have known for a very long time and is one of the leading people and one of the original people in this industry. Hi, Mary Ann, how are you today?
I'm great, Jim. It's always great to see you, even virtually.
Absolutely. So how this is going to work is I'm going to ask Mary Ann 12 questions about the service that she provides. We're doing this with a number of different companies to give you the opportunity to really see what's out there, because I know we are pivoting very much into a virtual meeting environment. No matter what happens at the end of the stay at home and shelter in place, people are going to hesitate traveling, and they're going to be leaning more and more on the type of services that Mary Ann and other companies offer. First question, probably the toughest one because it starts with the words "in one sentence." Tell me about your company.
Oh, okay. One sentence. Well, for over 20 years, we've brought the digital to conferences and events, and basically worked for mostly the financial services. And we fuse technology together. We believe that integration is innovation. So that's hence how we developed the MetaMuse platform. That was 3 sentences, but it was short.
Well, you know, the "and" actually puts them all together into one.
Thank you.
Are very useful that way.
I've been doing it for a long time, so it has evolved, you know?
Not really. So what differentiates your product from the other products that are on the market right now?
Because we're truly a platform. We're a platform for on-site work that since supporting the financial services, we had to support webcasting since 2000. So it's a long time. It's 20 years in the cloud. And then also it's a platform for workflow to gather the presentations on site, which when we ever get back on site, we push them around from the platform. It's compliant. We're not looking in emails for the PowerPoints or the pic in the bio. And then since it's a big database, we also do digital signage and then also name badging because our clients insist on that. We get all this data on one platform, but the biggest thing we do is a very content-rich, interactive conference website that is very, very geared toward the attendee at the center. So that's a big differentiation. And our clients demanded it because their attendees are their investors, and there's lots of money that gets spent. So there was that real push for that personalization, customization, good UX, UI design.
I'm going to follow up on just the word platform, because I think a lot of people aren't sure, especially if they're not in the tech space. What do you mean by platform? How can someone connect to what that really means with respect to a virtual meeting?
I like to say that we're like the Salesforce for events. It's a very robust platform. It's a huge program that has intelligence to it in many ways, because we collect the usage, the data, and then that also informs us. So we're not an app. It's not something that just sits on top. We actually use it for functionality. So when, let's say a speaker uploads the PowerPoints before the event, we then push it around to the actual presentation page. We put it in a library. We integrate it into the webcast. That's platform thinking. When things interwork together. Think of Amazon. Every time you go to Amazon and you select, that platform gets smarter and starts pushing you, all that garden supply that you wish you could be doing in your garden, So that's, usually platform, it connotates very robust, complex, and some level of intelligence.
Well, explain. We'll talk about intelligence later as we get into any sort of new technologies. But speaking of platform, which one do you use for the video, or are you completely platform agnostic and can the planner choose whichever platform they're comfortable using?
I'd like to say I'm agnostic, but since I work in a very regulated field, we choose BlueJeans. And the reason why, because BlueJeans was built organically in their own stack. They didn't go outside. As we know, the trouble with Zoom has some back ends and some problems and has a backdoor to Facebook. And though some of my banking clients really believe in Zoom, I make them sign a disclaimer that, if there's any breach, I can't be responsible for that. But on the whole, I think Zoom's a great platform for associations. If you watch your security, there's other ones too out there. Just get the people on the video so you can gather, you can acquire them. And then, distribute the content. But we prefer BlueJeans, who just got bought by Verizon. So it's a happy day for them.
Yeah, I just heard that the other day. That's pretty amazing.
It's happy.
So how does your product help the hospitality industry moving forward after this?
Well, I think it's a question. I think too often the problem before we had this pandemic is that there was too many choices, too many single application functionality, and we really kind of asked the planner to go to MIT to figure out their tech stack. Our tech stack is integrated, and we also play well with other tech stacks. We have an open API, and we've done work with Grip. We've done work with VivaStream for the data analysis, which is amazing. And we're also about to announce a merger of our platform, which is a little too early to say, but actually they've given us a very robust front end in registration, credentialing, IoT beaconing, when we ever follow delegates around. And they grew up in the federal government, so they're just about strict about compliance as we are with the banking. So we're a perfect match.
Perfect. Let's get into technical sort of numbers game for the planner, who oftentimes have very specific questions. For example, what's the largest number of attendees for an online meeting that your base pricing can support?
Well, it's interesting. The actual website itself sits on AWS, and that's robust. And, we do a large conference. I can't say the name of it, but it's the largest healthcare investment banking conference in the world. And we have about, by the end of 4 days, there's 50,000 unique users that are on it. And you just make sure you have enough server space, because it's about server space and bandwidth, because we're streaming, of course. Yep. So it really is unlimited as long as we're prepared that we can, have good server space. With Amazon, you can always scale up and use additional servers when you're starting to get low on space, and then bandwidth. So really, the sky's the limit, really, but you need to engineer for it.
Okay. So how about simultaneous breakouts? Is there a capacity on that, or is that also due and based on the server space that you have?
It's also how many virtual conference rooms, how many BlueJean rooms or Zoom rooms you're going to be using if we're talking totally virtual. And since what we do, our technology is that we take the video from the Zoom or the BlueJeans and we encode it so it gets embedded as a webcast, a link. So you can imagine sky's the limit, how many can fit on a page, basically.
Gotcha. I know you've mentioned this already, but I'll ask it since it's one of my questions here. You support hybrid meetings, and if so, what do you do to ensure the success of a meeting where you have both digital and face-to-face attendees?
Well, we grew up in doing very robust and very high-touch live events, and the ability we used to to stream the speakers from the back of the room, from the video switcher or from the podium. Now we can also do it from the BlueJeans room. So our portal is almost ambidextrous. We don't, there's going to be that mix that some speakers can't make it and some do. And of course, we're, with our banking clients, we control all the engineering, the local area network. We control anything digital. So we've been on that total quality management for a long time with very stern taskmasters in the banking industry.
Understood. You mentioned bandwidth earlier. What are the minimum and ideal bandwidth requirements for a meeting using your services?
Well, that's a hard question because it depends on, but if just for streaming, like per room, we'd like to have 10 megabits simultaneous up and down, okay? You just always want to have that bump. You want to get the best stream possible. For some of the events that we do, we have tremendous amounts of bandwidth because our website is so engaging and so used. And then we also know, since we control it, that many of our attendees have 3 or 4 devices that they're working on. And so we usually are very bandwidth intensive. And plus we're, the webcasting, and then, people who are very digitally savvy. So yeah, it's just, if you provide the bandwidth, they will use it. And it just depends on what the experience you want for your attendees. And as we go into hybrid, they're going to be more and more dependent on digital. So please don't be stingy with the bandwidth. Don't frustrate them and don't have them pixelate,
But from a planner perspective, just following up on that, I know the bandwidth is such an issue in the industry because it's being portioned out at such high cost, unwieldy high cost.
Ridiculous.
So do you think this is going to change based on what we're now moving into? That it's going to.
Well, I'm a bandwidth bully. And Jim, we talked about this back in the 90s.
Absolutely.
And you know what you do? You just, first of all, you don't sign the contract until you negotiate. the bandwidth because they want the heads and the beds and the food and beverage. Now they might have a third party who wants to make their margins, and everyone has to win, of course. And I usually take the rate card and negotiate. When I stop laughing, we can start negotiating. I've gotten $100,000 off of one budget. Just basically say, I don't think so, but you need to be prepared. So you should really get yourself a technology person within your corporation or outside. Likes like. The reason why sometimes they jump up the price because the planners aren't prepared and they're afraid they're going to be thrown under the bus the last minute. I thought. Well, if it's not on the page, it will not get staged. Critical path. So.
Okay. So,
sorry, I guess listen, I've been fighting with IT people, but I'm always friendly.
Yeah, fair enough. And just one other follow-up there is if the planner asked, could you bring in the bandwidth for the event?
Absolutely. Okay. I do all the time. Back in the early days, you remember that my former company, we used to provide the bandwidth in 20 venues throughout Europe. We were the pioneers, and 9/11 put us out of business in 2 seconds. I continued because I had work all over the country. You go in there and negotiate. They're going to want your business so badly now. And don't sign any contracts until you get what you need. And really, they'll really. I just got an email from Amazon Web Services who just said, we're taking $15,000 off your rate because of the coronavirus. Listen, I almost fell. But I think that's the market that you're going to walk back into and really negotiate everything and get a pro to help you, please, whether it's internal or external. I learned it and it was difficult for me. So get a pro.
And we will take this part and edit it and put it into the contract negotiation information that's being passed along to people right now. Such a critical part of that dialogue. So quick questions. How about virtual reality? Supporting it? Will you be supporting it? What's your take on it?
I had a conversation actually with a very senior person at Verizon because I was asking about what are you doing with your 5G rollout? Now put a pin in that because that's going to change the play in the next 5 years. Okay. And they think it's all the AR, VR. I don't really see an application for it that big in the events industry yet, especially after we've been starving for face-to-face. However, we are looking into it. We are looking, we're a geek house. We love new technology. And, but I find that sometimes selling the new technology takes 5 or 6 years until there's some leader does it, some application, so it's wash, rinse, and repeat. But we keep our eye on that space because especially when they get the glasses down and it's not so isolating, I think it's going to be very innovative in people conceptualizing. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting.
Well, you and I have talked about it. Oftentimes, any technology needs that killer app before people make it mainstream. We haven't seen that yet from VR, but one thing we are seeing is training and education has been using it extensively. It's one of the huge sweet spots. So it wouldn't surprise me, that push happens even faster than we anticipate right now.
I think also in medicine, and also we do work with the UN and with the Sustainable Development Goals. So to really understand what climate change means, there's a lot of big concepts that if you can see it, you can understand it or believe it. So I think that has a really great application too. Yeah.
Okay, how about the next thing, virtual trade show? Do you have a platform? If so, is there a maximum in terms of the number of exhibitors that can be there?
It's really not our wheelhouse, to tell you the truth. We're really conference, corporate, B2B. However, with this merger of another platform, they do have sponsored booths. It's not as built out as you're in Expo or you're in Trado. However, it's a place that you can have a session that's for a sponsor that becomes revenue generating. So that's something that can happen. Again, unlimited because it's a website. So how many? Either they're going to pre-tape something or we'll give them an area where they can upload a video and they can have their pick and bio of their salesperson. They can ask a question. They can have all different types of things on that page. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now, without over geeking on this, because we have to make sure we're all comfortable with what you're about to say, what are the latest technologies that you are looking at integrating into your current and future business?
What we're looking for and our clients are asking us for is much more high touch. and personalization type applications. Unfortunately, in the banking industry, having attendees network or do that one-on-one together is not compliant. However, for our other clients, and I think as we're in the virtual world, we really have to look at everything we can do to connect, engage, challenge, have peer-to-peer learning. So we're looking at, we love the Grip platform. We use that for an event that we did in Warsaw for Singularity U. It was astounding how people, using their AI, matching people who don't know each other. And then I used that information, what sessions, videos that they were downloading and watching, and you got this really, really deep attendee journey. So you could almost do customization or even tell it to a sponsor with GDPR, of course, that these are people, these 5 people you should be talking to based on their behavior and based on their footprint. We really love everything that can be engaging, or also transcriptions, American Disabilities Act, multiple languages, and also, you can't search video right now unless you have a speech to text. So when you do the transcription, the time goes there, and all of a sudden that fast video library becomes open. It's almost like the Rosetta Stone, it's that to me. Anything that can share knowledge and engage people to be innovative and create, we're looking at.
Beautiful. Last question, save the best one for last. And I know I'm always interested to hear how people are going to answer it. What's the minimum price for your core services? I just want to give people an idea of what the starting point is, and what does your customer get for that price?
Well, we've struggled with this because, we built the MetaMeetings. In some way, the MetaMeetings platform is almost like an octopus, but it all interworks. So there's the head and the tentacles. As far as we're concerned, and maybe this is this circular economy or generosity type thing, and not to pat myself on the back, I don't want software to get into people's way. So if you want the platform, we just charge $4,000. I don't care if it's 5 people or 10,000 people, because software doesn't care. Okay. If you just want to use it for webcasting, really terrific. If you don't want to have a conference website, that's okay too. If you don't want to do badging, that's fine. But I want to know that you can, and that you can scale up. I want to be helpful, to have you integrative, that you shouldn't be managing your technology. You should be managing your content and managing your attendees' experience. So we're looking at that. What do you get for that? You get some very, very basic, styling. And then, it's up to you to populate the content. And the best thing about with the MetaMeetings platform, when a speaker is assigned, they have a username and password, and they go into their own microsite where they can not quite design their page, but upload their picture, their bio, their PowerPoints, that video, that handout. I really hate when people say, give me your email and I'll send you that handout. Those days are over, And so that's, so we have a rate card. We charge by the hour. The webcasting, if you want us to populate it for it, we'll go out and reach out to your speakers. We do that for most of our clients, and we charge them by the hour. So, based on your scale, get a rate card, and I'll give you an estimate. And if we have some hours that we didn't, I'll give the money back to you. We're very transparent about our costs.
Which is great. And one thing that Marianne did share, and I'm going to do a quick screen share on this right now. We'll make this available. 2 documents. One is the 10 critical questions for planning a virtual event. I think this is really, really good and very smart in terms of giving people just the basic information they need to be able to ask. And the other thing that's here is about Map Digital Events, and essentially the PowerPoint that you use oftentimes when you talk about it. Is that what this would be?
Yeah, it's kind of trying to explain to people what the workflow is, how it all works together, and then how you get this finished product. There's a lot of workflow behind it. And, when people start going back with the virtual meetings, your speakers aren't going to speaker ready room anymore. So if you haven't been on a platform, you're going to have a very overly taxed email, and also sending that kind of content around, especially if there's any IP or license, or you'd be very, very careful with security. So, but it's just the workflow. It will be daunting. So I want to let them know the workflow.
You noticed I didn't even mention the word security, because that would keep us on for another hour and a half talking.
I know.
Right now. But any last words you want to share? We really appreciate your time in giving all this great information for folks.
Yeah, I do. Is take a very deep breath, and you need to do the mind shift. You need to pivot. You need to follow your customer, you need to follow your attendee, and you need to reach out to them and service them. And I know from over 20 years in the digital space, there's a lot of great benefits up there also. I mean, you can be much more interactive and personal, and then have your attendees get together, and they're all doing it around your brand. It's going to be a huge marketing push, and take that conference content, it's on video now, and make little snippets and just be even more audience generation. You're going to find more ROI, better engagement in many ways. And I think you're going to find that digital C is not that scary. But face to face, we need to get back. We need to get back to having a drink and hopefully shaking the hands, and really just do what humans do, commune.
Absolutely. Words better spoken. I couldn't have uttered myself. I'll give all of Marianne's information somewhere around here on the screen. I'll put it up there. Marianne, thank you so much for being part of this. And we'll be sharing this out in the next couple of days. And hopefully people will be able to call you and contact you and find out what they can do with your digital events.
Well, thank you, Jim. Thank you so much for the opportunity and just putting on some lipstick over my yoga pants. So thank you so much.
I left the lipstick off today. So guys,
thank you. Be safe.
Thank you for Minutech. Marianne, thank you so much. We will see you next time. Have a great day. And remember, hug your family because that's what's most important right now. Be well, guys. See you.